Title: My Wife Kept Calling Me Paranoid. Turns out, I wasn't paranoid enough. I honestly never thought I'd be the guy posting here, but I guess life has a weird sense of humor. My wife, 32M, and I, 34M, had been together for almost 9 years, married for 6. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. We had the usual arguments about work, money, chores. Nothing that felt marriage-ending. Then, over the last few months, something shifted. She became weirdly protective of her phone. She started working late, several times a week, even though she'd never been career-obsessed before. Every question I asked somehow turned into me being controlling or insecure. She had an answer for everything, and looking back, most of it was probably a lie. She'd say she was with coworkers. Then I'd casually mention one of their names later, and she'd contradict herself without even realizing it. If I pointed it out, she'd snap at me and tell me I had a terrible memory. I started questioning my own sanity. Then everything exploded in the span of 2 days. I was looking for an old insurance document on our shared laptop. Instead, I found a folder synced from her phone by accident. There were screenshots of conversations she thought she deleted. Not just flirting. Months of messages, pictures, plans for weekends she claimed were business trips. Even worse, I recognized the guy. He'd been to our house for a barbecue last summer. My stomach literally dropped. I couldn't even finish reading before she walked through the front door. I asked one question. "Who is Ryan?" She froze for maybe 2 seconds before immediately saying she had no idea what I was talking about. I showed her the screenshots. Suddenly it became, "It's not what it looks like." Then it changed to, "We only talk." 5 minutes later it became, "Okay, we kissed once." Then, after I showed more screenshots, it turned into, "Fine." It happened, but it's because you stopped paying attention to me. Every 10 minutes the story changed. She cried, then she yelled, then she blamed me, then she said I invaded her privacy, then she admitted she'd been seeing him for nearly 7 months. I couldn't keep up with the lies anymore. As if that wasn't enough, the next morning Ryan's wife somehow found my number and called me. She had discovered everything the same night. We compared timelines, and that's when I realized my wife had been lying to both of us the entire time. She told him we were basically separated. She told me he was just a coworker. A few hours later, my wife suddenly claimed she was pregnant. I actually froze. The timing made no sense. 2 days after that, she admitted she'd lied because she thought I'd be less likely to leave. That was probably the moment something inside me finally broke. Not because of the affair. Not even because of the months of deception. Because I realized I couldn't believe a single word coming out of her mouth anymore. The woman I trusted most had become someone I couldn't recognize. The first week was just anger. I barely slept. I replayed every conversation from the last year, wondering how many lies I'd missed. Then came embarrassment. I kept thinking about every family dinner where she smiled across the table like everything was normal. Every vacation picture. Every anniversary post online. It all felt fake. Eventually, the anger burned itself out. What was left was grief. It honestly felt like mourning someone who was still alive. I started therapy because I realized I wasn't just losing my marriage. I was losing the future I'd spent years imagining. People kept asking whether I could forgive her. That wasn't really the question. The real question was whether I could ever trust her again. And my answer was no. I filed for divorce. She promised she'd change. She promised she'd cut contact. She promised she'd never lie again. By that point, promises had completely lost their value. It's been almost a year now. Life isn't magically perfect. Some days still suck. Some songs still hit harder than they should. But I don't wake up wondering whether the person next to me is lying anymore. That's worth more than I realized. If anyone reading this is constantly being told they're crazy, paranoid, or imagining things, pay attention to patterns instead of excuses. One lie can be a mistake. 100 lies become someone's character. Trust is hard to build, incredibly easy to destroy, and almost impossible to rebuild when honesty disappears completely. I wish I'd understood that sooner.